Hi, it's Monie, and welcome to Mind and Your Business. Hi, fam. Welcome to Mind and Your Business with Monie. So today I am not having a guest. I'm just going to kind of talk to you, and especially if you're a realtor watching this or listening to this show, I think is just going to sort of think of it as like a lot of like tips, tricks to help you revive your leads, but also like how to think about engaging your leads and how to just think about how you're talking about your business. So it's going to be kind of a grab bag of things, but all of this is coming from the fact that I just am getting contacted a lot from agents that are kind of listening to this show and reading the weekly update that I do and just asking for advice. And then also my own team and then my bigger team at my brokerage, just the questions and things that I'm hearing. So I'm like, hey, let me just put together just a conversation and just some thoughts, and hopefully it's helpful to you and hopefully you get something out of it. I think you will. I think it's kind of good stuff. So the first thing that I wanted to get into is the concept around like how it is that you're selling yourself. So, likely you're a real estate agent if you're listening to this. And there's obviously a lot of turmoil and questioning around real estate agents' value with the NAR lawsuit, which is it's like so tiresome to even talk about, but it's true. So I see a lot of agents really like framing themselves around like service, right? Like, what do I offer? I offer great service. Like, I always answer my phone. I'm responsive. I am, I have a great gifting program. I, show up on time. Like, I provide like good consultations. Like, it's like, these are things that are to me are like a given and somewhat like of an obvious thing. And like the most important thing, these are the things that 99% of agents are saying. And they're like framing their value as like, hey, I'm being a professional. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like, hey, I'm professional. Like I'm responsive. I'm conscientious. I have good follow-up. Like these are all things that to me aren't really a differentiator when it comes to why should someone hire you over the 70,000 other people that are all saying they do the same thing. So something that I was giving some thought to, and I don't know if I came across this like on, maybe it was like a TikTok or something, some quote, who knows, but it said the importance of selling an emotion over a service. And I feel like when I see agents who are the higher performers and with the big businesses, they really are leaning more into the emotion that they create with the client. They're leaning more into the like the vibe and less into the details of the service provided. So it's not that the service isn't important, and the things that make up professionalism, these are things that are important, but like I said, they're a given, and they're things everyone's talking about, and they're things everyone claims that they do. So it's like, who cares? But I think thinking about your business and the emotion that you want to create is incredibly powerful. It's powerful in terms of setting yourself apart. So like you're talking about, your negotiation power and like the way that you position your clients to win, or the way that you create a certain level of certainty. Like these emotions matter to clients because they look at service as something that should be happening. So it's powerful when it comes to like positioning yourself as different because you're now saying a different thing. But I think it's even more powerful in helping you to get clear on what it is that you want to create with your business. Like, what do you want your business to feel like? What do you want it to feel like to your clients and their experience? And what do you want it to feel like for you? So what you want it to feel like for you, in my mind, logically should be in line with who you are. If you are very relational, so most realtors I know are very relational. They're very relationship oriented. They really like helping people. They really like being a part of, kind of a pseudo member of people's family. They really like that feeling of almost like an intimacy that you get when you're helping someone make huge decisions, especially about where they live. There's a certain level of, um, you get to peek behind the curtain of people's lives. And a lot of agents thrive on that. They really feel special with like, oh my gosh, I get invited to the baby showers and I do birthday gifting and I do this. So if you're like a relational agent, then you probably want your client's experience to feel personal and warm. Like you want to have those aspects of relationship as the driver with the given of the service, right? So within the service experience, you're creating warmth and personalization and all of that. So if that's how you're oriented, then, I think it's really smart for you to take some time to really go and like look at what you're doing and say, where can I infuse some warmth? Where can I infuse a little personalization? Where can I make this feel the way, that kind of warm and gushy feeling that I want it to feel like? So, and then you can contrast that with like, maybe you're less of a relational agent. Maybe you're more of a results agent. Maybe you're a little bit more of that high D personality, a little bit more like, hey, let's just get to the point. And there are clients that are oriented like that. They're not really trying to have a relationship with you, but there are clients out there who want to know, hey, when I go and hire this person, I'm hiring a pit bull. Like I'm hiring someone who's results oriented and who has my goal in mind. Okay. So if that's you, then looking at your client's experience, where is it that you can infuse that messaging? Where is it in your marketing that you can infuse talks about results and being that pit bull and, not taking no for an answer? Like, where can you put that in so that it really fits you? Because like, I know I'm probably more of like, personally, I'm probably more of the second kind of agent. So for me, it's like, I struggle sometimes with clients that are more relational because like, I just am not. So I'm not with everybody. So, for me, being able to direct the messaging and the marketing to be, that's what I'm selling. I'm selling a more results, kind of a more, maybe a, maybe a little sharper edge type of experience that brings clients to me that are already oriented that way. And it makes it so much easier for me to function within my strength. As compared to if I were attracting, the client that really is looking for that like relationship, like, come hang out, like we should be friends. Like that type of client might stress me out. Meanwhile, flip side, the agent who's oriented like that might get freaked out by the client who, when they call you, they're not trying to hear about your day. They just want to know, what's the update? What's the feedback? Is my home sold yet? So that's why I think it's a powerful thing for you to really take a moment to think about, when I'm putting myself out there, when I'm, creating my social media posts or my newsletters or, my buyer and seller guides, my marketing packets, am I really leaning into like service, like tasks, the givens, the givens around professionalism, or am I also taking the time to make a story around the emotion that I want to create with my client, and also the emotional environment that is going to attract the right client to me? So just a thought, something to think about. It's like an easy, cool thing to do, an inventory. That's the cool thing. The cool thing is that you can make it anything that you want. You can make your business anything you want. So this is something to think about and make small adjustments. You never know, what's going to resonate, but like, trust me that if you get smart about taking this step and just getting a little bit deeper into what you're putting out there and making it a little bit more refined and thoughtful, you will attract a client more in line with who you are. So that's important. Okay. That was the first thing that I wanted to talk about. Hopefully that's helpful to you. The second thing that I wanted to share today, when it comes to like your deals, are you thinking of yourself as like, I'm the quarterback of my deal, or are you looking to other people to lead? The reason I ask this is that I'm noticing in my team, I'm noticing just kind of, honestly, even in cross sales right now, there's a lot of realtors who aren't kind of owning their shit. They're not owning their deal. They're not kind of moving, whether it's a lead or a client or a deal. They're not really like thoughtfully like looking at it from a 30,000-foot view and like make a plan. And this is the direction we're going to go. It kind of feels like some of my team members and just also agents that I'm coaching are sort of sitting back and like waiting for things to happen. So it's like you've got, for example, you have, a lead that you get, they're not moving forward. You had an initial conversation with them, you passed them to a lender, you haven't heard back from the lender. And it's like, on my pipeline call, I have agents being like, well, I don't know, I haven't heard back. And it's like, okay, when did you reach out? Did you talk to the client? What did they say? What did the lender say? Oh, well, the lender says they need XYZ. Okay, what are you doing to make sure that that happens? What are you doing to make sure that the next step that needs to happen happens? These are things that set realtors apart. If you can take some control and not even control, take ownership of the process that has to happen for you to move a person from being an inquiry to a closing, and to keep yourself from just kind of getting complacent or sitting back and waiting for someone else to make a deal happen. This is a skill that really like will make you significant money, because most agents don't do this. Another example is like, you've got a buyer who's looking for a particular kind of house. You see the house, they go and see the house. They have some hesitation around, I don't know, some detail. Have you ever thought about like solving that problem? Have you thought about picking up the phone with the listing agent and seeing if you can come up with a solution to get your buyer to start moving forward on that house? Hey, they're worried about the monthly payment, right? They ran the numbers on this and the monthly payment doesn't work. Well, did you run the monthly payment at full price? Did you run the monthly payment with a buy down? Did you take a look at maybe what some seller concessions could do for that payment? Have you thought about shopping to another lender and seeing if there's a deal there? Did you pick up the phone to the listing agent and ask them if there's a deal here? Like, what have you done in order to help something move forward when you hit a speed bump? Like, what have you done? I feel like there's a lot of it maybe kind of goes to the service orientation mindset. It's like, there are realtors who believe that this is, that their role is service, and there are realtors that believe that their role is execution. And I tend to think that the agents that are more oriented to executing do better than the ones who just think that they're there to serve, because serve somewhat suggests, hey, I'm standing by waiting for my client to tell me what it is that they want to do. And you can flip that thinking to be more proactive and more of that quarterback mindset of like, my client told me that this is their goal, and I can see ways that they cannot see that we can potentially achieve that goal. So me sitting back and waiting for them to come up with a solution that they're not even aware of doesn't make any type of sense. So taking that time to think creatively, understand what the goal is, and take some ownership and create some potential solutions to keep things moving forward and keep your person moving towards their goal. That's what I mean by quarterbacking, not looking at the lender. Well, the lender said it's not possible, so I guess it's not possible. I have a rule, 3 no's, right? You don't take a no until you've heard it 3 times from 3 different people. Knowing the right questions to ask. Simply the question of, well, how can it work? Right? Like, this doesn't work. Got it. What does work? How can that work? That is such a powerful question, because it's orienting the conversation from no to where's our yes. Let's find our yes and then reverse engineer ourselves to that yes. These are things that you do when you're more in an ownership kind of quarterback mindset, as opposed to like, well, I'm just here. Like, if the wind blows right and my client feels good about it, then maybe we'll move forward. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of everyone's time. And it's a disservice to your client, because your client supposedly is hiring you not just to serve, but to execute for them. So think about that this week. Think about just what you have going on with your current leads. Do you have any deals that are stalled? Do you have any pre-qualified buyers that aren't moving forward? Can you go and see how you're not really quarterbacking? Can you see a way that you can move them forward? Can you pick up the phone and start communicating with other leaders and figure out the two of you can collaborate? You know, most deals still at this point have two agents on both sides. There's two of you. So these are two heads are better than one. The lender's part of the team, the title and escrow officer, part of the team. Like, these are all your team. Are you using them to find solutions? That's what a quarterback does, right? They have the players on their team. They give that direction. They call the play. Like, are you doing that? So that was the second thing that I wanted to address today. And then the last thing. So as you know, if you're in the real estate world or mortgage world, like, Fed lowered the rates last week or whenever that happened, a few days ago. And, obviously it's an opportunity for those of us who have a bunch of buyers who are stalled, or even sellers who have been waiting to put their house on the market for a better interest rate environment, right? So I've been having meetings with the different groups that I coach about this, and how important it is to seize this opportunity to start a conversation with people who have not been talking to you, whether they got sluggish and stalled out, they were in action, but then they kind of got discouraged when they started seeing the monthly payments, or they ghosted you completely. Maybe they never really responded to you at all. So, this is a good time. This is a good opportunity. But one of the things that I ran into, which I want to talk about it on this, it is the mindset of, well, just because the Fed rate got lower doesn't mean mortgage rates are going down. And it's like, yeah, no shit. And there's a lot of agents who are like taking pride, like I see on social media, like, marked safe from thinking that just because this happened, then the mortgage rates are going to go down too. And I think to myself, are you just interested in like shooting yourself in the foot? Like, are you just so focused on being right that you're not willing to think about an opportunity? It's so wild to me. So, like, obviously, any of us who do this, like, we understand the relationship between these two things. It still doesn't mean that there isn't a very blatant and important opportunity for you to seize if you want to sell houses. So, the thing to understand is that your consumer lives in a different world than you live in. We live in a world where we hear the fine detail of this information all the time, and we understand what it means. The consumer doesn't. Your clients don't. They see on the news something about interest rates came down. That's what they see. They're not getting into the fine detail of exactly what the relationship between this and this is, because, more than likely, it doesn't really matter to them. What matters to them is the last time I checked monthly payments for the house that I wanted to buy, or houses in the price range I wanted, my monthly payment was fucking high. Is it lower now? And the answer for most of them is it probably is, because if they checked months and months and months ago, the rates have improved. Have they improved, a whole amount? So, for some, maybe, but no, but they are better. And the point of re-engaging, usually, especially if someone is like super ghost, like isn't talking at all, is just to start a conversation. You're not jumping from 0 to 100 with them. You're going from this person is non-responsive to make them respond. Oh, good. Now they're talking. Now we can have a conversation. Because once you start having a conversation, you can talk about the fact that, yes, rates have likely have improved since the last time they got a quote. So let's start with that. But also, now inventory is going to start creeping up because sellers are going to come off the sidelines, and there's going to be a period of time where inventory likely is growing, which creates a better environment for them to be able to use seller funds to get an interest rate that's even lower than it is now, right? So, and meanwhile, in that time that's happening, mortgage rates likely are going to fall some more, right? So it's thinking outside of your own, like, I don't know, what is that thing? Is it a try hard? What is a person who's like more interested in being right than like winning, or like, I don't know. I don't know what the instinct is, but it just seems like it's such a weird instinct. Like, let it go. Don't be so concrete. Yeah, that's what it is. Don't be so concrete. Don't be so obtuse. You're hurting yourself. Stop doing that. Think bigger. Think about what your consumer experience is. The consumer doesn't know the level of detail you know, and they don't need to, because at the end of the day, what they care about more than likely is their monthly payment. They care about affordability. Is it more affordable for me to make a move now than it was when we first last looked at this? And if you look at the grand scheme of things, the rate is likely a little bit better. The inventory is likely higher, which means they have more leverage, which gives them an opportunity to make it more affordable. Is that not solving the problem? Is that not helping them move forward? So the mindset here is, I think, getting out of your own way. Not being so focused on perfection. That's the other thing. If you have stalled leads, if you have, let's say you've got, I don't know, maybe you've got 10 or 12 people that at some point came across your radar. You got them on a list. Hopefully you have them in a CRM of some type, or at least an Excel spreadsheet, for God's sakes. You got them somewhere and you haven't been able to get them to respond, or they haven't been responding. That you got them on MLS drips, or you sent them some comps for their house. You never heard back. The thing you have to understand is, like, those leads are already telling you no. They already are not a deal right now. So what do you care if you reach out imperfectly and they continue to be a no? You lose nothing. But if you're so focused on, I'm not going to reach out to my leads because I don't know what to say. I hate being on video. It's so embarrassing. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, I don't know. Last time we talked, they were super hesitant and kind of seemed mad that I called, so I don't want to call again, or I don't want to reach out again. Whatever is in your mind that is keeping you from taking action, it doesn't make any logical sense, because you already have a person who is a no. You have zero to lose at this point from being creative. One, I don't want to start with creative. Being brave, realizing that your need for perfectionism is costing you money. And then being creative. If you had been reaching out in a certain way, for instance, you're like, well, I send them an MLS strip once a week and they never open it. Well, that's a good clue that they don't give a fuck about the MLS strip. You got to do something different. You got to think outside of the box. And more than likely, the box that you are using is the box you're comfortable with. So you're going to have to also think in a way that might make you uncomfortable, and decide to get uncomfortable, to take a risk or two. Maybe you look silly. Maybe the wording that you send isn't quite right, but it's at least something that takes that action and kind of acknowledges the fact that you've got nothing to lose at this point. You got nothing to lose. And you never know, like, that moment of reach out could be the exact perfect moment for someone to be in front of them. There was like some statistic. God, I wish I could remember it exactly, but it was some NAR study they did. And it was basically like, I don't know, like 80% chance, maybe I'm overstating it, but it was super high. It was like the majority of people work with the listing agent who is sitting in front of them at the moment they're ready to take action. It's not necessarily that they're out here shopping with a bunch of people, interviewing a bunch of people. It's like when they're ready to act, who is in proximity to me? Who knows how to do this? Okay, you'll do. Come on, we got to get going. So remember that. So with you reaching out, it could be the just perfect time, because they just heard about the interest rates on TV or on whatever they're listening to on the radio, or on social media. And they're like, you know what? We actually did just come across a house on Redfin that I wanted to look at. Cool, right? You just texted them. Perfect. Awesome. You might text them something and they don't respond to that text, but they say, oh, hey, yeah, I've been meaning to reach out. We found this house up the street. We're wondering if you could show it to us. Perfect. There you go. Because you reached out, and maybe your reach out wasn't perfect, but it doesn't matter, because you were in front of them at the moment that house popped up on their feed. And they're like, you know what? I know a realtor right there. I'll just call her. She just texted me. She just called me. She just emailed me. So these concepts, I think, a little bit of a little hodgepodge, a little charcuterie board today of content, but helpful things. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that these are helpful things. Your business is what you make it. It can be anything that you want. You get to set the tone of it. So like we talked about, you get to set the emotion of it. You get to set the vibe of it. So set it. Do it. You get to, why don't you? Right? Like take ownership of it. Make it your own. Like that is what people sense. People sense when you like are like taking the time to brand and market yourself thoughtfully. They may not even like your brand. Maybe they think your logo sucks. It doesn't matter. The effort comes through. The love of it comes through. And that creates a level of quality that sets you apart. Quarterbacking your deals, like be the one that's directing, for God's sakes. You're the one who does this for a living. Hopefully you do this full time, where we're really like completely invested in it. And when you're completely invested in it, it's like your craft. It's like your art, and you should be directing it. You're the one who likely is the one who's generating the lead, which means like you really should be the one who is leading the lender, title, and escrow. Like you're the seed that got it all started, right? So own that position. Be the one who's hearing the problem, and even if it's outside of your scope, putting together the right people, asking the right questions, knowing enough to be dangerous, right? Know enough to be dangerous, be bold enough to ask the questions. Don't just let your clients sit there unsolved. That's a low performer's move. Don't be a low performer. Be that quarterback that you can be. And then lastly, like, don't overthink yourself out of a sale. Don't be so interested in being right and perfect that like you're not taking action that's meaningful. It's dumb. It's dumb to be like that. It's just hurting yourself, because while you're sitting there being like, well, at least I know the difference between this and that, someone else just went and sold your client. So good for you. Just fucked yourself out of 12 grand. Nice job. Don't be so obtuse. Look at it, step yourself back, put yourself in your client's position, put yourself in the consumer's position. That's what matters. Get focused on the outcomes that they're looking for. Get focused on the problem they perceive. I'm telling you right now, affordability, that is what the buyers perceive as their primary problem. So you need to be the one who is messaging around affordability at a time when on the news, it seems to me like everyone's talking about affordability just got better. And lastly, who cares if they tell you no, if they've already been saying no? They've already been saying no. Their silence, them ghosting you, is a no. They're saying no. Whatever it is you're putting out there is not interesting to them. If it was, they would respond. Don't kid yourself. You got clients that you convince yourself, well, they're just on hold. They're just on hold right now. That's why they're not responding. No, what you're asking them doesn't resonate with them. They don't feel a need to respond. So change your mindset on getting nervous about, I don't know what to say. It's like, it doesn't matter what you say at this point because you already aren't getting a sale. So you might as well dig your heels in and get creative and figure out if you can find something that causes them to at least want to interact and give you that door that you can open to at least then start maybe having a meaningful dialogue and get into it. And worst case scenario is they continue to not respond, or maybe they even tell you to fuck off, but who cares because you didn't lose anything. So, okay, that's it. I hope that these ones that are like a little bit more like me just kind of talking to you the way I would talk to my team, I hope you find them useful. I hope they're helpful. Your feedback is always appreciated. I really appreciate those of you who have been, messaging me and wanting to be on the email list and telling me about the show and how it's helping you. That makes it cool to continue. So thanks, guys. I hope you have a great week.